It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. You do. From the Dixieline Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, coming off a great sports weekend, we welcome you to the Monday Bonus Podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host from left field, John Riley, and we welcome you. The Monday Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. It's also the Christmas shopping season. Coming up at halftime, we'll give you ideas about how you can use Dixieline for unique, very Christmas gift for special guys who like to do it all. Go to Dixieline.com to see all the things they have to offer. John Riley, what a weekend. NFL upsets. On top of that, college football, games, coaches, etc. Man, we're going to go a lot of different directions. Very, very busy day. How you doing?
Did you have a great Thanksgiving holiday?
I did. It was good, but man, paid attention to a lot of sports, and there was
always
a lot
of sports going on.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, listen, just a couple of reminders. When we're done with this podcast, because we do topics on the table, and then we express opinions, because we do sports talk the way it should be done. When we are done with the podcast topics, you take over. It's called Fans Forum. We want you to fill up the computer with questions, answers, and opinion. John, how does it work?
Don't just fill up your computer, fill up your phone. You got a question or comment for Hacksaw in the world of sports? Drop your hot take in the live chat on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, and we'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Fans Forum, right at the end of the podcast. Be part of this podcast. Jump on board. John, we got a ton of things to talk about. Let's start with college football. Let's talk about college football in town.
San Diego State Aztecs, did they get screwed over by this thing, Lee?
Well, we're talking about what happened to the Aztecs in the final game of the season on Friday. We're talking about what happened to the Aztecs on Sunday morning by virtue of what the Mountain West Conference decided. Let's talk about the game. San Diego State loses at New Mexico. I feared it would be a tough game. New Mexico was riled. They sold out the stadium. They lost in double overtime to the Lobos. The Lobos, New Mexico, which has not been very good in football for decades upon decades. They got out-toughed at the line of scrimmage. They got out-gimmicked too. Lobos had about 3 plays in the whole game that they got anything accomplished. Did nothing else the rest of the night. But they scored on a 54-yard fake tush-push handoff that became an end-around sweep. And they scored on a 25-yard flat pass out into the flank to a tight end, what turned out to be a screen. Those were the only plays that they made down the field, and it changed the whole game. Meanwhile, Jaden Denegal self-destructed. He had the fumble, interception, took 4 quarterback sacks. There was no rhythm at all to the Aztec offense, and it was just appalling in overtime. San Diego State got the football into the 15-yard line in overtime, fumbled a snap, took 2 sacks, took 3 straight offensive line penalties, delay of game or procedure, and then it wound up being 4th and 30. And I'm sure there's no page in Sean Lewis's playbook for a 4th and 30 situation, and they wasted a 7-sack, 8-tackle for loss night by their defense, and it knocked them out of the first place in the Mountain West and the chance to host a championship playoff game. Tough loss, bad loss. Let's talk about what happened on Sunday. The Mountain West Conference decided who was going to play in their championship game, and they felt San Diego State's 9-3 record was not equal to the 9-3 record of the other teams. Mountain West uses a computer that has 4 different metrics in it to determine who finishes in what order in the playoffs. They snubbed the Aztecs, an Aztec team that beat an improved Cal team. They snubbed an Aztec team that beat Boise and Fresno, had 8 wins on the season going into the game. And they wound up with 3 bad road losses that I think really effectively killed them. They selected Boise and UNLV. Offensive shows sells tickets, and I bet this was more about ticket sales than it was anything else. And at the same time, they snubbed New Mexico, which won its final 6 games of the season. As for a bowl game, Aztecs could wind up in the Idaho Potato Bowl up in Boise. They could end up in the Arizona Bowl that nobody watches. They could end up in the Frisco Bowl over in Texas. For as rewarding as the football season could be, it sure doesn't feel rewarding to me. John, it was gut-wrenching to me, and I'm not even an Aztec alum. It just left a knot in the pit of my stomach over the way the game this ended and then what happened on Sunday. You saw it. You give me your impressions of the game. Give me impressions of Sunday morning and the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, I mean, just the computer ranking thing screwed them over. I mean, they had one of the best defenses in all of football. I mean, they did an incredible job on defense. And Sean Lewis has resurrected this thing. They won every game at home they were supposed to win. Yeah, they lost at Washington State in a game they should have won. Yeah, they lost at Hawaii, which is no cakewalk. Yeah, they lost at New Mexico, which, damn it, you got to beat New Mexico in football at least. But still, I just feel like it's just the San Diego sports curse. We keep getting screwed here, Lee.
Yeah, 9-3. And again, when they got to the 4 teams that were tied in the conference, each beat each other. Nobody dominated. So it was a toss-up. I think they chose Boise, and I think they chose Vegas because of offense, and offense sells tickets. Because there's no other reason that I can maintain that San Diego State did not deserve to be in that game. Aztecs did beat Boise. Boise beat UNLV. Why is Vegas playing? Because Vegas is pretty good and throws the football. State did not play UNLV. So there were no tiebreakers amongst the 4 teams that played. It would have been nice to host it. It might have galvanized some community support. But at the end of the day, they're 9-3. And at the end of the day, that was a great defense. They're going to go to a second-level bowl game. And at the end of the day, the goodbye defense, because all those kids are upperclassmen, so next year will be a rebuild. And I just don't have a lot of confidence in the quarterback, so they may have to go get another quarterback in the transfer portal. It's just they've just never been able to take the next step to be really great. I think what Sean Lewis did this season was phenomenal. But now all the defense is going away. And on we go to the Pac-12 conference, a.k.a. Mountain West 2.0. It's weird. I have such a strange feeling in my heart. It might have been 9-3, but God, it doesn't feel like it was a successful 9-3. Is that just me overreacting?
Well, you overreact.
Thank you.
But I think, yeah, if you take a step back, you could say, okay, football program trending up, right? I mean, we haven't been able to say that for like 3 or 4 years.
But the defense is graduating.
Well, yeah, but, you just got to rebuild. Hopefully our defensive coordinator sticks around. Hopefully they can keep building. Hopefully Sean Lewis sticks around, so, yeah, but I'm with you. Jaden Denegal, I don't think is the answer. But, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks to pick from in the offseason.
Okay, you're an Aztec fan, friend, alum. Jump into the, I want to say transfer portal. It's the wrong word. These glasses. I can't think straight. I can't link words with wearing these glasses. Jump into the chat room. We want to hear from you in Fans Forum, Aztec fans. How does 9-3 feel to you today? Because I feel crummy about the way this
ended. They were 3-9 last year.
I concur.
That's got to be good. I mean, sort of.
Okay. We go from that. Fans Forum chat box is open, looking for San Diego State football fans to jump on board. What a couple of days in college football.
Yeah, rivalry weekend. We got a landslide win and too late for victory.
Let's just talk about who did what to whom. Ohio State, Michigan. It was close for a while, but at the end, the Buckeyes are just so good. This Ohio State team might be as good as any Ohio State team has been, going way back to the Woody Hayes era. Freshman quarterback Jalen Salen goes for 233 and 3 touchdowns against the Wolverines. Buckeyes put up 419 yards of offense in the big house. Poor Michigan fan. It was just brutal. And Bryce Underwood, the Michigan star quarterback, 63 yards passing in the game. Buckeyes defense was superb. Great win by the number 1 team. Indiana won also easily over Purdue. So here comes the Big Ten championship game this coming weekend. Ohio State, Indiana. Wow. That's a pick'em game of toughness for sure. Texas, impressive win They beat Texas A&M. They hadn't done this all season, had not run the ball very consistently all season. But Quentin Wisner, who played well last year and was about the only returning skill guy on that roster, ran for 155 in the win over the Aggies. And Steve Sarkisian immediately started the campaign. Even though we got 3 losses, we deserve to be in the college football playoffs. He says we beat 3 top 10 teams, and we nearly beat Ohio State on opening day. So the Longhorns beat the Aggies. Southern Cal destroyed UCLA. The Trojans scored 22 points in a row on the back end of the game. Jaden Miava, 257, couple touchdowns. King Miller, 157 on the ground, 9-3 record. It's weird. That doesn't feel like a great 9-3 football team, at least according to the fans in Los Angeles. There's still a lot of second guessing and concern that Lincoln Riley is not the right guy. So USC's lost some of its luster. And for UCLA, they don't have a head coach yet. They've come through this whole thing where all these other coaching jobs have been filled. They haven't hired their guy yet. They wrap up the sucker at 3-9. Your reaction for the top games of the weekend?
I want to ask you a question. Do you think Ohio State could beat the Tennessee Titans or the New Orleans Saints or maybe even the Raiders?
No, because pro football players are big and more physical than college football players.
But you're saying this is the best Ohio State team since the Woody Hayes days.
Well, I think athletically, and I think firepower-wise, and I think toughness-wise, it's a really good college football program, not an NFL program. College football program.
But it's like really a paid gig. I mean, these are like pro players.
But these are pro players in the embryonic stage of their career. We're not talking these are guys that are 28 or 33 that have played 10 years in the NFL.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's the whole game with sports, with college football.
It's changed.
It's like a AAA baseball. I mean, it's pros. They're legit. And I think on any given Sunday, I think one of these teams probably could go in and knock them off. And by the way, I'm thrilled for the Longhorns, beating Texas A&M. I mean, A&M almost screwed up to South Carolina a few weeks ago. And yeah, the SC-UCLA rivalry doesn't feel the way it used to feel. Don't you think?
Yeah, there's the game was really exciting in terms of the fans and the players. I mean, they played it to the nth degree of aggressiveness, but there's just something about USC football right now. It doesn't feel right. They're 9-3 with a stranger as their head coach, and it doesn't seem to be any embracing this guy as being one of ours.
Well, who did they lose to? Was that early on they lost at Illinois, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that was a bad loss. I mean,
they've beaten on the road, and they got stampeded by Notre Dame.
Yeah, that was an ugly loss too. Yeah. But USC, and we just still think of it as, this dominant West Coast program, and it hasn't really been that.
Exactly.
Since maybe Pete Carroll days, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just, and everything has just changed too with the NCAA transfer portals and the Big Ten. And so I don't know, USC just is not, it doesn't feel the same.
The most unique thing to me before we go on to the next piece of the conversation about college football, the games are exciting. You turn on your TV and you start at 9 a.m., big game Saturday. And there are so many marquee games you get to play. Everybody in college football, John, has players because of the transfer portal. Everybody's got money now because of boosters and NIL. So everybody's going to get players. So that makes for good teams, a lot of teams in each conference, which means some pretty good matchups on Saturday when we turn on the TV. The downside is I'm so bloody tired of NIL money and bloody tired of the transfer portal and who's happy and who's unhappy. And now these coaches walking out on their programs before their championship game or before the playoffs begin to go take the next big payday. I hate the business side of what college football has become, but the business side has allowed us to see a lot more really good games on Saturday. Does that make sense?
It does, but money talks and BS walks.
Yeah.
I mean, they do need to govern this a little bit better because it is a little bit out of control. I mean, which kind of leads us up to our next topic.
Okay, we're talking about coaches next. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, here we go. The coaching carousel, paydays and angry exits.
Nice headline you put up there. Let's start with LSU. Deal done. Lane Kiffin goes to Baton Rouge. 7-year, $94 million deal. $12 million a season. With a massive amount of money in the checking account for NILs for transfers. He exits an angry Ole Miss, and he exited angry. He took part in a 3-hour meeting with the chancellor and the athletic director on Saturday night, and he made demands. I want to coach. I want to coach this team if we get to the SEC championship game, which they didn't. I want to coach this team. We're going to be in the playoffs. They said, no, you're going to accept the LSU job. We're not going to let you coach Ole Miss. You've already decided you want to go there. We're not going to let you be on our sideline and wear our gear and advertise all things LSU next. So they showed him the door. He went to the airport to fly to Baton Rouge, and there were a parade of fans. They were outside the chancellor's home. They booed him, and he got booed at the airport. And this guy did a great job. I think his record was 54-19 at Ole Miss. He resurrected them. He brought them what they haven't had since the days of Billy Vaught back in the 50s and 60s in the Archie Manning era. I'll tell you, I've known him a long time. He's had some success. He's also had a lot of failure. There's a little bit of a slime ball factor to Lane Kiffin that really bothers me as a person. Is he a great X and O's guy? Yeah. Does he develop quarterbacks? Yeah. But he's been in so many places and left so many places under a cloud, and now he winds up at LSU. So he goes, and Ole Miss, within an hour, elevates their defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, to become the head coach to replace Lane Kiffin. And he immediately holds a team meeting with all of his players because their biggest fear is Lane Kiffin's going to try to poach their young sophomore quarterback, Trinity Chambliss, and their top running back, Kean Lane. So Pete Golding, defensive coordinator, did a good job there, did a great job for Nick Saban at Bama. The players emerged from the team meeting, and he said, the Golding era has become, we are together. So I'm going to be intrigued to see if Lane Kiffin lures any of the Rebel players across the state line with bigger NIL money, but Pete Golding replaces Lane Kiffin. Let's go to Florida and the Gators. Get me a quarterback, because they're just not the same since the Tim Tebow era. Florida hires John Summerall Tulane. Reputation, what's stapled on his driver's license? Quarterback guru. What a great job he did resurrecting Tulane. Tulane 10-2 this year. Tulane had been one of those bottom feeder Division I programs for years upon years. Nobody could resurrect them, and yet John Summerall did. So he goes to Florida. Then we go to Auburn. Auburn hires very outspoken, very flamboyant, very loud Alex Golish. Comes from South Florida. This guy's a real vinegar and spit guy. Is that a correct term? He's a firebrand, 23-15 at South Florida, and he's competing against everybody, the Miamis, the Florida States, the Floridas in that state. What a job he did at South Florida. So he takes the Auburn job. Arkansas, across the state line, hires Ryan Silverfield. Who? Head coach Memphis. Who? Memphis Tigers under him, 50-25.
Hey.
That's pretty impressive. So that's a pretty good coach. He goes to Arkansas. The surprise hire was out here, Colorado State, Mountain West Conference going to the Pac-12. They hired Jim Mora. They outbid Oregon State and hired Jim Mora, ex-UCLA coach, ex-NFL head coach, great lineage, the son of Jim Mora, longtime NFL
Jim Mora
coach.
Jr., though, isn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah, okay.
So he's had great success in college football. He did what I never thought could be done. He made the University of Connecticut a football solid program.
Wow.
UConn basketball. But UConn football's damn good. He fixed that thing in a 4-year span. So Jim Moore is out here. He's going to Colorado State. Not guarantee you. He's going to recruit the hell out of the state of California. That's going to be interesting. Oregon State, and they've gone through the ringer. This is a really bad program right now. They've fallen for the third time in about 20 years. Boom, back down. Oregon State hires kind of a unique guy, not a household name. His name is Jamarcus Shepard. The Beavers go get this guy who's a wide receiver quarterback guru who's a hell of a recruiter. Jamarcus Shepard, wide receiver coach at Alabama. Interesting hire there. Now, he's getting a lot of work to get done, But guys who throw the football have had success fixing everything wrong in Corvallis. Mike Riley, Dennis Erickson. They resurrected that sucker. Now it's up to this guy to get it done. Next one is Stanford. This was a little bit out of left field, but this is a relationship hire. Andrew Luck is the general manager of Stanford football. He hires Tavita Pritchard, quarterback, played with him, has been a quarterbacker in the NFL and quarterback coach in the NFL for the Washington Commanders. He's been hired as the new head football coach at Stanford. Unique hire, but Luck knows football. Luck likes this guy a great deal. The next one is Southern University. This is the strangest hire probably of the weekend. They hire Marshall Faulk, legendary Aztec running back, former Ram, former Colt, Hall of Famer. He's got 1 year coaching experience. He's been on Deion Sanders' staff at Colorado this year as running back coach. Neon Deion talked him into becoming an assistant coach. And Falk studied. Falk said, I was addicted to all the things you need to be successful as a player. Studying tape, teaching relationships, offenses, etc. He never gave any thought to coaching, and Deion talked him into it, went there, and really liked it. And Deion said, apply. Go there and apply. And, of course, he's going home. He's from New Orleans. He's going home to Southern University. To me, the most unique aspect to this whole hiring of Marshall Faulk at Southern, he becomes the 5th NFL player who has retired, who's gotten into coaching, and has gone to a school in the SWAC, Southwest Athletic Conference, the historic black universities and colleges.
Yeah.
Really cool. And every one of those guys has had an impact on HBUC programs. Obviously, what Deion did at Jackson State with his son and the wide receiver Travis Hunter. But you look at some of the other guys. Michael Vick went to Norfolk State. Deshaun Jackson, first year. Eddie George went to Tennessee State, did really well, and now went to Bowling Green. It's really interesting. So hiring a guy with 1 year experience, wow. But maybe Marshall Faulk knows everybody. He'll surround himself with good people that can work on defense, and maybe he'll be able to attract a lot of African-American players to Southern University. And then there were the teams that fired coaches. Cal, which really stunned me, fired Justin Wilcox. And I thought he had done a great job with the Golden Bears. They've hired Nick Rolovich as interim coach. I think he winds up with the job. This was a Ron Rivera decision. Rivera is the general manager of the Cal program, like Andrew Luck is at Stanford. And then last night, Kentucky asked Mark Stoops. He had done a decent job fixing UK football, but they've been down the last 2 years. It was like they're heading back down the dumper. Kentucky gets rid of him, and they owe him $37 million.
Wow.
Another high payday to walk away. So anyhow, that's what's happened in college football as of this hour. No head coach yet at UCLA, but everybody tells me they're going to hire the head coach from James Madison University after this weekend's playoff game. James Madison is in their conference championship, and they might even still be going to the college football playoffs because they might wind up being the top group of 5 team overall. But it looks like UCLA is going to hire Bob Chesley from James Madison. Now, that's weird to me. This is UCLA, Pac-10, Pac-12 tradition. UCLA hiring a coach from James Madison Dukes, Harrisonburg, Virginia, Conference USA. Of all the coaches in the world, you're hiring a guy from a small program. You find that weird? I don't know. Anyhow, that's coaching carousel. John, respond.
It's spinning, man. The carousel is spinning. I mean, it's going crazy right now. So now I don't normally fault a guy for taking a payday. I mean, if someone's willing to offer you more cash, why wouldn't you do it?
You're a capitalist.
But Lane Kiffin, it just leaves like kind of like a bunch of dead bodies on the side of the road wherever he goes. Why does this keep happening? What is it about Lane Kiffin, the way he does business, that is just so disruptive?
He comes off as being so slick. But to me, slimy.
Yeah.
I mean, fired at USC, fired by Al Davis of the Raiders, was in Tennessee for 15 minutes and left. Obviously, couldn't find a job other places, wound up at Ole Miss, resurrected the program, and then boom, gone. Take the money and run.
Yeah, so it's just kind of weird, and he's going to be poaching the Ole Miss roster and the coaches. I mean, that's just the way the game is played now. I mean, the players are going to follow the coach, and and so it's just more drama in the SEC. But all those other teams, I mean, most of those guys, with the exception of Jim Mora Jr., I never even heard of them. I mean, a lot of these young guys are getting opportunities to coach at upper level. Good on them, especially if the James Madison guy comes to UCLA. UCLA ain't what it used to be, so they're going to have to, try to find a hot candidate there. It's interesting to see Stanford and Cal both on that list as well. And yeah, they both have general managers in Ron Rivera and Andrew Luck. And I like that whole concept of general managers. I think that's, it's too much for the head coach to be thinking about. Yep. So it's good that they have that in place. But wild days in the coaching carousel.
What did you think about Falk, Southern University?
Well, I remember when he first came to San Diego State, he was trying to get a gig, as a running back, but no one wanted him to allow him to play. They wanted him to be a defensive back. And I think, Southern is a HBCU school. Was that the one that he was recruited to go to? And then he ended up coming to San Diego State. I can't remember.
Everybody recruited him, but they didn't want him to be a running back. He'd come off a knee injury, and everybody wanted him to be a DB. And San Diego State, who had connections in Louisiana recruiting-wise, promised you can be a running back. I mean, I'll never forget that first scrimmage practice they had at San Diego State up on the hill his freshman year. He was 7th on the depth chart.
7th.
And it was like a Friday afternoon scrimmage. Field was dirt. The grass was gone. It was just a gruesome day. And they get to the end of the scrimmage and they've run all their guys. And they bring him on. He finally gets a chance to carry the football at the tail end of this controlled scrimmage. And he busts 2 runs on 2 carries. I say, wow, that looks big time. And he was the starting running back, I think, by the 3rd week of the season. And boom, off to the races we went with a great career. He had 3 years here up on the hill. It was just spectacular.
Well, he passed the eye test, right?
Yeah.
So, but you figure if he's going to go to Southern, what a great opportunity there. I mean, he's going to attract talent, just like all those other former stars in the NFL have attracted talent. Michael Vick and all these other guys. Wherever they go, they're going to bring guys with them. So this is an opportunity, and good for Marshall Faulk. He's doing what he loves. He found a new passion in coaching. So I think it's a really positive story. And besides, Coach Prime, he's got enough of primetime coaching talent up there in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay. College football, that carousel spinning all weekend. Man, I got dizzy. Trying to follow this whole thing. So we go from all things college football. You got an opinion? Fans Forum chat box is open. Please jump in now so you can get to the front of the line. From that, let's go to the National Football League.
Yeah, the front of the line. Let's start with the Chargers. Bolts win, but the quarterback's hurt.
Yeah, they won, but they may lose in the long run. Chargers beat the holy hell out of the Raiders. Justin Herbert, hand injury. Now, there's all types of confusion right now about the significance of the injury and the location of the injury, because I watched video closely, and it looked like he injured this finger on his left hand. But Jim Harbaugh, in the postgame press conference, said he broke a bone in the palm of his hand. So it's one or the other, or maybe it's both. Because when he came off the field, this finger was down here like he couldn't move it.
Yeah.
Like I thought he had dislocated it. Anyhow, he played with a soft cast and a glove, and his hand was like this. He couldn't take a snap under center. They had to go shotgun the rest of the way. He was scheduled for surgery mid-morning to early afternoon today. So maybe when I write on my website by tomorrow, we'll have a definition as to where he is. But what have I said for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, John, with Justin Herbert?
Well, you're about to say, I told you so, but he's an injury waiting to happen.
And it happened.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how he got hurt. On one play, he got twirled around by a safety. He thinks he hit his hand on the safety's helmet or as he was going down, he put his hand to try to brace the fall. He might have broken the hand there. Nonetheless, minor surgery. They think they can fix it. They think he might even play next week, but maybe he won't till they get in there and do the surgery. But he hung in there. He threw for 151 and 2 touchdowns against a miserable Raider team. The kid running back, Kamani Vidal, had 126 yards rushing. Jared Patterson came off the bench, added 53 yards rushing. But then again, this is against the lowly Raider defense. The Bolts had 5 quarterback sacks in the course of the game. The Raiders, get this, in the fourth quarter, because I keep a running total. I keep my own chart watching the Charger games. In the fourth quarter, the Raiders had 110 yards in offense. That's all they had at the start of the fourth quarter. 110 yards offense with an NFL team. How bloody incompetent
Raiders.
is that? Geno Smith had no pocket to throw from. Ashton Genty, 21 touches, 61 all-purpose yards. That goes to show how bad the talent level is around the star running back. How about that? 21 touches for 61 total yards. My God. They were outgained 341 to 156. Chargers' time of possession was 35 minutes. Raiders had it for just 25 minutes. Raiders have now allowed 15 quarterback sacks in the last 2 games. I mean, poor Geno Smith. He's getting smothered. He has no help whatsoever. And outside of the quarterback, Brock Bowers, Genty, Max Crosby, who the hell else is on that roster? Nobody. I mean, it is just a terrible, terrible situation. And, you know, we talked last week about the firing of Chip Kelly. And now there's all these stories that are leaking out that there was a lot of insider fighting over the play calls. Pete Carroll wanted to run the damn ball. Chip Kelly said, you can't run the damn ball behind that damn offensive line. And he was probably right. But Chip Kelly was calling stuff that didn't work. Chip Kelly's protection packages were miserable. And the players have said in some of the games that they were getting blown out in, Chip Kelly was calling plays that weren't even scripted in the game plan. He was calling stuff from what they had practiced in the beginning of the season. It's just, you talk about dysfunction junction, right there. That's where the Raiders are. So your thoughts on the quarterback, the Bolts. Oh, and by the way, beginning next Monday night, Justin Herbert and that team plays Philadelphia, Dallas, Kansas City, Denver, Houston. That's the next 5 games to wrap up the season. How are they going to win a bunch of those games?
They're not.
I don't think they may be in trouble. They might miss the playoffs.
I agree, because I think, what are they, 8-4 right now?
Yeah.
And they're in the number 5 position, like the second wild card. So, or maybe that's the number 6 position. So I don't see them making it. I mean, really, I mean, of those 5 games, I mean, they'll be lucky to win 2 of them. You know, I mean, it was just a really boring game to watch, didn't you think?
No, it was ugly.
And I still get so angry when they wear those San Diego Superchargers uniforms. You know, it just, but I was reading in your best 15, you were saying how Geno Smith had like 165 yards passing.
Total.
Most
of it was in garbage time.
But they had like only 130 something yards in total scrimmage. And I was thinking, how is that possible? It must have been just so many penalties that must have just ratcheted down the total yards, right?
Just brutal. I mean, from a manpower standpoint, they are so deficient in talent. And I had an NFL guy tell me about 2 weeks ago, he says, this roster right now is worse than the roster Pete Carroll inherited the day he got hired. And everybody was so excited, myself included, because they lost so many people in free agency after Pete got there. And here's the question. I don't want to pile on. This is a question for anybody out there who's a Raider fan, Raider Nation. I'm asking directly to you. Your franchise has a record of 130 and 307. I'm sorry, 130 and 237. 130 wins, 237 losses since 2002. That's more than 100 games under 500. How could you still be a fan and support that? Raider Nation, silver and black has become the silver and bleak. Please tell me. Go to the Fans Forum chat box and tell me how and why you still support Raider football. I mean, send me a message, stolen laptop, stolen phone, I don't care. Just send me a message. Why are you supporting something that has that record? I figured that out over the weekend. I almost fell on the floor. 130 wins, 237 losses. That's Raider football.
That's just a disgrace.
It's amazing.
I mean, it is. And granted, Raider fans are probably the most loyal fans to a logo of any team in professional sports. Don't you think?
Are they stupid? Are they drunk? Are they buzzed out?
I think it's all of the above, but it's like that, just the tribal mentality of being a fan of a particular team. I mean, you see it heavy in college football, but in the NFL, it's like Raider fan. I mean, their whole identity is wrapped up in being a Raider fan. So, yeah, they've been going through a slog forever. But, yeah, to your earlier point, I don't think the Chargers make the playoffs, and the Raiders need players. I mean, they got to really hit a home run in the draft this year.
Charger fan, Raider fan, jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. We go from that. We're going to do a quick run through here of big games on the weekend, every place.
Upset City, bad weekend for a lot of teams.
Lions lose to the Packers. Get this stat. Has the league caught up to Dan Campbell? In this game, Detroit was 1 for 15 on third downs and fourth downs. They've figured out the Detroit Lions right now. I mean, it's a bit of a skid. Lions will make the playoffs, but they had to probably do it as a wild card team. Just amazing. Just unbelievable. So the Lions lose to the Packers. Kansas City loses to Dallas. The Chiefs are 6-6. Are they in trouble? Wow. And Dak Prescott throws for 321. And I'll tell you, these wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Pickens between them, 15 catches, 200 yards and receptions in the win over Kansas City. And how about that secondary? Kansas City had 5 pass interference penalties and 1 defensive hold penalty against Dallas. So the Chiefs are in 6-6. They're in trouble. Ravens don't belong in the playoffs. You lose to the Bengals of all people. 5 turnovers in that game. The big storyline there, sadly, Lamar is not Lamar any longer. Lamar Jackson looks to be a shell of himself because he can't run the football. He can't move the pocket because of this hamstring injury. He's become strictly a pocket passer, and there's no consistency to what he's doing. It's just not the same football team right now. Eagles are kind of up in arms. Eagles have lost 2 games in a row. The Bears run, get this figure, for 281 yards on Philadelphia.
Wow.
Talking about stampede. Wow, he's right. A lot of injuries in the Eagle offensive line. They're really dinged up. Nick Sirianni's taken just an enormous amount of heat in Philadelphia. It's just not the same team right now. The Browns, the game with the 49ers, defense was amazing for Frisco. I mean, they got so many guys on IR, and they just keep winning. I mean, they got 9 wins. How stunning is that? Shadur Sanders, first half of the game, they ran a lot of safe play calls, short flare passes, screens, etc. Nothing deep. Tried to run the ball some, but as the game got away, they had to expose him more, and then he started missing, and he started taking hits, and he started to freak out and panic. But he's going to stay. They're going to keep him as the starting quarterback and just go forward, and let's see how much progress they can make with him. I agree with that. Hey, Indy's got problems. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Daniel Jones is trying to play with what they think might be some sort of fracture in his leg. His ability to move the pocket has now become a question mark, and part of his game was being able to run, but they've lost 3 of their last 4. Stunning loss. Rams go cross country, and Matthew Stafford has the first bad day of the season. Rams lost to Carolina. Stafford, 3 turnovers in the rain, 2 picks early, and then a costly fumble. Bryce Young is like the stock market. Some games good, some games bad. Threw 3 touchdown passes against a pretty good Rams defense. So that's a one-off as far as I'm concerned. But it was kind of surprising to see the Rams play as poorly as they did. Minnesota, what a crisis Kevin O'Connell's got there in Minnesota with the Vikings. He had to start his 3rd quarterback, Max Brosmer, because of the injuries to J.J. McCarthy. Brosmer, 4 interceptions in the first half, and 4 quarterback sacks along the way. Minnesota's got a real problem there. Buffalo pasted Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's offense, 166 yards, and James Cook ran for 144. I'll tell you, Mike Tomlin got booed. Those people in Pittsburgh drink an Iron City. Beer in the right hand, terrible towel in the left hand, and they booed the whole game, with the exception when they cheered when Aaron Rodgers got hurt and they took him out. And Mike Tomlin has taken an enormous amount of heat. Pittsburgh's lost 5 of its last 7. And nothing tops that Sunday night game. What a hell of a game that was. Denver, Washington, overtime. Bo Nix creating plays. Marcus Mariota nearly won it. Bo Nix wound up with 321 yards passing. Marcus Mariota had 354 all-purpose yards. You talk about leaving it all out on the field. And a deflected 4th down pass on the goal line got them the victory. And the most stunning part of the whole story was Denver's defense, John, was on the field for 84 snaps. Wow. You just don't see that.
No.
I mean, it was unbelievable game. So that's where we are. You want to comment on what you saw, what you liked? Is the world figured out, Dan Campbell? Is it over in Kansas City? Baltimore looks done. Philadelphia's got some real internal problems. I'm voting for Shedeur just to keep giving the ball, let him play, and let's just really see whether or not he's a student of the game and can get this done, or whether it's too much freelance football. Indy's got a big issue if this quarterback can't be that quarterback that he was first 2/3 of the season. Go ahead.
Hell, you're bringing it, Hacksaw.
Damn right.
Shedeur Sanders he threw that one deep ball early in the game, and it was kind of like a duck pass, but it was a touchdown. They had an 8-7 lead there for a little bit. But, the Browns muffed a punt that turned into a Niner touchdown. Mm-hmm. The Browns ran the wildcat, and the running back dropped the snap, and that blew up in their face. So Shedeur was fine. Shedeur was, he was kind of playing safe. He wasn't going too crazy with it, but I was pleased with what I saw there. So I think there's hope there. The Rams, what's funny is you were praising, Stafford, dazzling season, MVP candidate, and they lose to Carolina and Bryce Young. I mean, I couldn't believe that. That was a shocker. You're talking about this NFL upset city. That was a huge upset. And then the Brosmer kid with the Vikings. Did you see that one? He was about to get sacked and he flipped it underhand and it was a pick 6. Like one of the worst plays in NFL history. Then Joey Bosa just crushed Aaron Rodgers. Yep. I mean, is that the one where he cut his nose?
Yeah, he flattened him, pancaked him from behind.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So I think, is the season over in Seattle? Is this it for Aaron Rodgers? Is this how he's going to go out and be remembered?
Well, the Steelers say they want him back as quarterback next year, which I kind of find hard to believe. Mike Tomlin said that, but at the end of the day, Mike Tomlin might not be there, because what's happened in Pittsburgh is they've become mediocre. They're not the dominant Steelers of the past. Their offense is pedestrian, and I don't care how many different coordinators you bring there. If it's the same set of people, nothing ever changes. So Pittsburgh's got a lot of decisions to make, from coaching through the talent on the offensive football side.
Well, George Pickens wanted out of there.
Exactly. Well, he deserved to be out of there. He was such a distraction, and now he's playing on his next contract, and he's playing for a good team.
He was making hella great catches on Thanksgiving.
Oh,
that guy is unbelievable athlete.
So that's where we are. You got a comment on what you saw Thanksgiving Day? Pick 'em, pal, because we talk a lot of football on this program. Up next, we're going to talk baseball, because we are baseball-centric, and we got a lot of stories that we're going to break for you here. Want you to stay with us. Podcast is brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. We say Dixieline, we always think lumber, building houses, developments, contractor. Mm-hmm. Well, Dixieline is more than that, especially for the guy that does it at home. I call him like the tool maker. John, take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, check out these tools. This is like a little bit from DeWalt. It's one of the primary manufacturers of power tools at Dixieline, but they also cover all the other big brands, like Milwaukee and, just every brand you can think of in the world of power tools. So for the do-it-yourself homeowner, What a great place Dixieline is. And if you're looking for a gift for dad, cruise down to any one of your local Dixieline stores in San Diego County and get a gift card. And that's a great stocking stuffer for dad. He could pick up any one of those cool toys there at Dixieline Lumber.
Dixieline Lumber, been in business for more than 100 years, 9 locations in San Diego. Just go to Dixieline.com to see all the things they have to offer. We are at halftime. We do topics on the table because we do sports talk the way it should be done. We express opinions. Mine, valid. His from left field. That's okay. But then we open it up to you, and you take over this podcast at the end. When we're finished, it's called Fans Forum. How does it work?
How it works is your chance to get involved. If you have a question or comment for Hacksaw, just drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. And Lee, I got to tell you, man, it's loaded right now with comments about the Chargers, the Raiders, everything we talked about. Everyone seems to have an opinion.
Okay, we got that. Reminder, I write about sports every day of the week. It's on my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. We get a ton, absolute ton of viewership on our live stream on this podcast Mondays and Thursdays. I want you people to sample my website and then subscribe and then get on my email list because I send out newsletters twice a day. You can do that on the Hacksaw Insiders box right on the homepage of the website. Just fill it out, get on the email list. I guarantee you'll be amazed the volume of stuff that's included in my newsletters. We send out 2 newsletters a day in the world of sports. So please check my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. You'll get the alerts every time we put new videos up. Also want you to follow me on social media. Hey, just type my name in, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button. That way you can participate in all my sports mini polls. We're just everywhere. And we thank you for making this podcast so explosively great. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us just enormously. I cover it all?
You covered it all.
Damn right.
Pick 'em, pal.
Okay, we move on because we're a baseball-centric podcast too. And the winter baseball meetings are just around the corner, starting at the end of the week. John, let's talk about the Padres.
Help wanted. Pitching.
Tell me how they're going to solve this. Dylan Cease, gone. Toronto Blue Jays, 7-year, $210 million contract. Guy's a warrior. They gave him more money than Blake Snell got from the Dodgers and almost equal to what Max Fried got when he jumped to the Yankees. That is stunning that Toronto would shell out that kind of money for that guy. Toronto media is all over Dylan Cease, all over the Blue Jays front office. You committed that kind of bank for that guy? By the way, that guy is 0-4 in postseason with an 8.74 ERA in playoffs. That guy? And you're paying him over $30 million this season. Next up, we're waiting to see where Michael King signs. The report is 3 years, $75 million in the asking price. Wow, that's steep. Miami, Atlanta, the Cubs, and the Red Sox, all intrigued, may have already had meetings with Michael King. He's the next one likely to sign. Robert Suarez, I brought this up in the past. You'll get heartburn if he winds up at Dodger Stadium. But they have some interest. So do the Red Sox. So do the New York Mets. I don't think Suarez signs till Edwin Diaz makes his decision as to where he is going. New names have surfaced as to whom the Padres are talking to. We had told you last week about the Mexican pitcher Cody Ponce, who was 17-1 in Korea. Very affordable price, probably get him on a 3-year contract. They are talking to Merrill Kelly, who had gone to Japan, came back, resurrected his career, Arizona Diamondbacks. Another name, Chris Bassett, ex-A's, ex-Mets, ex-Toronto Blue Jay. Affordable, short-term contract. Weird name that I've been told, Drew Pomerantz, who's been here twice now in the course of his career, but he's totally healthy. I don't know if that's as a starter or that is a reliever. And they got one thing they can use as trade bait, Luis Campusano, the backup catcher, if they want to go get a back-of-the-rotation starting pitcher. So there's a lot of things in play, but the Cease contract and I like him. He's a warrior. He takes the ball. He's got great durability, but obviously His ERA is really inflated because that's who Dylan says. I was blown away by the amount of money he got.
How can he say no to that deal?
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. I mean, it seems like the Blue Jays, they were trying to go to Ohtani. They tried to be in on all the big free agents, and for one reason or another, they never signed there. So this seemed like a desperation move, don't you think?
Yeah, probably. I mean, $30 million a year for him, that seems excessive.
Yeah, he could be so good, though. I mean, if they could just fix him, it'll be a great investment.
Yep.
But I don't know if they can fix the guy. Some of those names you're throwing around out there, and Merrill Kelly sounds like a reasonable guy. I noticed you didn't mention Zach Gallen. I mean, I always thought he was a great pitcher.
I keep hearing that Gallen's going to go back to Arizona now.
Okay. And then Drew Pomeranz. There'd be no way are you going to even touch that guy with a 100-foot pole.
They already gave him a big payday one time and paid him off because he got hurt.
I mean, he had a 4-year deal. He probably pitched like more. I have more fingers than the number of times he seemed to pitch on that last contract. Yep. I mean, so that was ridiculous. So are they going to trade Campusano? Maybe, but I don't know. The book's kind of out on him. I think they've got to turn Campusano into a valuable piece in order to deal him. Otherwise, they're not going to get anything for the guy.
Yeah, it's a big issue. I mean, I don't think they've got a lot of resources to go get pitching, and they really need pitching.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they're going to have to get creative. Like we talked about, the Morgan kid, converting him into a starter. If not him, you got those other guys that can do it, like Morahone or Mason Miller. They got to do something creative.
So baseball meetings start on December 5, so it's going to be interesting watching where it goes. Padre fans, what's your inner feeling right now about where this team is with a help wanted sign hanging out on the corner of Tony and Trevor downtown by Petco Park? We go from that. Let's talk about the guys with the World Series rings.
The LA Dodgers, a Japanese star snub.
This is really interesting. We've talked about Tatsuya Imai, the big right-hander from Japan who's coming here. Actually, when I say coming here, he's going to land here. He's going to be here, I think, December 3rd. He's arriving in Los Angeles to be with his agent. He's already conducted 7 Zoom interviews with prospective clubs. Now he's going to be in LA, and he'll begin actual face-to-face meetings with these clubs. So he holds a press briefing with Japanese writers over there in Tokyo, and he says, I'm not interested in pitching for the Dodgers. I want to pave my own way. I want to pitch against them. I want to be my own star. I want to beat them. It's interesting that he is not interested in Dodger baseball, which means he's willing to go somewhere else. I've been told that somewhere else could be San Francisco. And the Giants have the money to pay him. So this is really intriguing to see which direction this guy goes. There could be a big payday coming for Robert Suarez, but I'm told the Dodgers would structure the deal on 1 year plus a second-year option, maybe a third-year option, but they'd be the Dodger option. So Suarez has to decide if he wants to operate that way. They've evidently turned away from Kyle Tucker. They're just not willing to go 10 years for a 31-year-old outfielder. Or say, not 31-year-old outfielder, 28-year-old outfielder. Just not willing to do 10 years, $400 million for Kyle Tucker. They're in competition now. There's some other teams that have called Cleveland about Stephen Kwan, including the Boston Red Sox, but they got the product in the farm system to make a transaction. But that's interesting. Imai not interested in pitching for the Dodgers.
Yeah, it seems to me like a calculated PR move, because even if he wanted to pitch for the Dodgers, there's no room in the pitching staff. It's not like he's going to be a starter there. He'd probably be like a long relief kind of guy, given the depth that they have. And it's kind of cool to kind of flip it, and say, I want to beat those guys, so he's trying to create more rivalry. It gets the hopes up of Giants fans and Padres fans that maybe he could sign there. So I think it's a good PR move from that angle. So I just love seeing all these international players coming over.
I've never seen. I've got a composite list at home. I think there's 7 to 8 Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese guys have now been posted. I've never seen that many in one given year.
Yeah, good. Yeah, but good on them. They're going to cash in. There's a lot of money to go around. Teams are going to get better, and you can sign these guys without dealing with the international draft. So it's like it's easier pickings, than trying to find other ways to staff up your team. So I think it's great. I think it's terrific. And even the Dodgers, they got so much talent, so I'm glad there's other teams in on this Quan thing, if for nothing else but to jack up the price to make the Dodgers have to overpay.
Okay, you're a baseball fan representing the Padres of the Dodgers. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. Let's talk about the ton of news going on in Anaheim.
Yeah, Anaheim news, it's not often good.
It's been quite a couple of weeks there in Anaheim. They are in the process of buying out the contract of Anthony Rendon. They owe him $38 million more on what was a 7-year, $245 million contract. He's had 5 major injuries. There were attitude problems. There were personality clashes, etc. God will write, this may be the worst free agent contract ever in the history of baseball. Get this. He has played in 6 years, 275 games in 6 years. He has missed
That's awful.
715 games in 6 years in Anaheim. His composite record will read 6 years Angels, batting average 242, 22 home runs, and he's collected almost $200 million so far. They're trying to buy out the final $38 million. What a god-awful contract. So that's the lead story in Anaheim right now. You can find, I used to go to the Sears store when it was open at North County Fair.
Oh, yeah.
And you walk in a Sears store, and they'd have the main level, and then there'd be the bargain basement level down lower floor. So I walked down there. I bet Perry Manazian, the general manager, shopping on the bargain basement floor. He's talking, get this, to Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer to join the Angels on 1-year plus option contracts.
Jeez.
Now, his starting staff right now is UC Kikuchi, the ace, Grayson Rodriguez, who came from Baltimore, Soriano, who pitched really well for the most part of last season, and they're going to move Reed Detmers back into the rotation. But that's not a real great rotation. But Verlander pitched pretty well the second half of the season, very competitive for the Giants, so we know what Scherzer is all made about. So when you go to the Sears store, walk downstairs at the lower level bargain basement, you might find Perry Manazian there. Today, as of this hour, week 7 of the Tyler Skaggs drug death lawsuit trial has begun, and the Angel defense lawyers have taken over the case now. They're making their presentation beginning today. And the report is that they're out to prove that Skaggs was defiant, that he was a lying drug alcohol addict who killed himself. They're going to present depositions of 5 Angel players who confirm that Skaggs delivered drugs to them, some of them through Eric Hay, the PR director. So the Angels are going to smear the reputation of Tyler Skaggs over the next 2 weeks after what the prosecution tried to blame it on the front office for allowing Eric Hay to keep his job, which eventually killed Tyler Skaggs. Very, very messy story. Comment on the Halos?
You ever been to Filene's basement in Boston?
No.
That's where the bargain shopping is done. So it's funny you brought up the Sears example. Yeah, the Angels should be in on this Tatsuya Mai guy. The Japanese star pitcher. They need to get young guys, exciting guys. Man, if I'm a season ticket holder for the Angels, I'm not excited about Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander.
Well, those guys would be plug-ins. They are in on a Japanese guy, but they're in on one of the first baseman, third baseman that are available. Okamoto, and I can't remember the other.
There's like a Murakawa, I think, is one of the other ones.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in on one of those big bats,
Good.
run bats, because they got to replace the 38 home runs they lost when Taylor Ward was shipped to Baltimore in the Grayson Rodriguez deal. So they are going after a Japanese everyday player. And I've not heard Imai's name yet, but anything is possible. This could change.
Yeah, the Angels need some good news, man. And this trial ain't helping things.
I agree with you. Okay, MLB Notebook is next.
Okay, let's bring up the big board here, Lee. Who do we got? We got the Orioles, the Yankees, the Mets, and the Red Sox.
Okay, the Orioles jumped into free agency over the weekend and signed St. Louis Cardinals free agent reliever, part-time starter Ryan Helsley. This guy was a closer in St. Louis, but before that was a pretty good starting pitcher. At this point, Baltimore's not yet announced what they're doing with him, whether he's going to be their shutdown guy or whether he's going into the starting rotation. Yankees, and this is kind of a surprise, are talking to Alex Bregman, who was in Boston last season. Yankees have had infield problems and inconsistency there, and there are a lot of young guys that they force-fed. But the Yankees are talking to Bregman. While that's happening, the Mets, crosstown, they're talking to Cody Bellinger, who played for the Yankees, had a really good season last year. Mets want to add another bat, maybe in the outfield. And then the Red Sox, there's another deal coming in Boston. They supposedly have made the parameters known to Peter Alonso and JT Realmuto. I mean, those be hefty contracts, but evidently Craig Breslow, the Red Sox new general manager, says, I'm doing this. We're going to add more quality veteran players to the roster. So you got the Orioles making the deal for Helsley. You got what the Yankees are proposing with Bregman, Cody Bellinger to the Mets, and the Sox looking at the Polar Bear and JT. What do you think? I mean, those are big names.
They are big names. And by the way, Alex Bregman is forever going to be a cheater in my book, so wherever he goes, I'm just always going to look at that suspiciously. And by the way, the Red Sox, they do have a lot of young guys on that team. So adding some veteran free agents makes sense for them. The Cody Bellinger deal, I wouldn't sign him either. He's too unpredictable. You can be right back in the tank with a 219 batting average and, people searching for home runs with that guy. So I don't know. I mean, and then the Orioles, I remember Helmsley. He was good as a closer. He throws really hard. And I remember him earlier as a starter. It's interesting when he flipped to a closer. I remember that caught me by surprise a few years ago.
Well, as a starter, from what I was told, he couldn't be a complete pitcher because his third and fourth pitches were not established. Mm-hmm. So they sent him the bullpen with the instructions, just throw this. That's all you need to do. 1 inning and outing, throw 1, throw 2. That's all.
Well, they lost Grayson Rodriguez, so they need starting pitching depth. Do you think they might flip him back?
Well, he came from there, like you said, and he's a different pitcher now because he's older and he's finally healthy too.
Hey, all right.
So anyhow, winter baseball meetings start. Hot Stove League will be lit on this podcast starting on Thursday. You won't want to miss it. Feel free, jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. All things covered? No, we got hoops to talk about.
Yeah, San Diego State lost week in Las Vegas.
Yeah, let's just talk about what happened to the Aztecs. Blowout by Michigan. Amazing performance when I thought they'd be dog-tired against Oregon. And then they got battered by a 7-man rotation Baylor team that was outmanned and yet beat them. I think it's so grossly unfair to make these kids play 3 games in 3 nights. This is not the NBA. In fact, this whole Players Festival tourney, I got huge questions about how they operated. You see all the empty seats there, John? Who the hell's going to these games?
Yeah, you're right.
You know who funds it? From over there. Saudi Arabian money. That's what I was told. So the whole tournament seems suspect to me. There were positives. LZ Harrington, boy, that kid can play right now. BJ Davis has really grown into a very good outside shooter, and so did Reese Waters really looked good in the tournament for a kid that'd been out for a whole year. Guath looks a little bit behind the curve physically right now. He doesn't seem to be playing with the same dominance he played at the top of his game, but we'll give him time. And I don't know where Miles Byrd is. He seems to be in and out of the offensive flow of things. I don't see any consistency. It's early. These were non-conference games. They got more non-conference payday games coming. So they just build momentum as they go towards the tournament. But again, still to come, they got to play Arizona. My God. So they're not where they're going to be by the time we get to late winter, early spring, and the Mountain West Conference tournament. So they got killed, played unbelievably well against a finesse team in Oregon, and then the slog of the lousy loss to Baylor.
It's been a rough week for Aztec fans.
Yeah, geez.
It's just been bad. That loss to Michigan was brutal, but that Michigan team,
they stampeded everybody.
They did. I mean, they beat another team by 40 points as well. And it's funny, you said just as long as they don't go there and lose by 40 to Michigan, and that's exactly what they lost by.
Sorry about that.
So
I should not tell the truth.
Yeah, exactly. It was amazing. So I don't really give them fault for losing Michigan. The win against Oregon was nice. The Baylor one, they could have won that. It just seemed like they ran out of gas, but they had all that depth. So I don't understand. And by the way, all those, feast week tournaments, they're all made for TV. There's barely anybody in there. Like, I don't know, like 10 years ago, I took my kids to Vegas and they played West Virginia and Cal in one of those tournaments on Thanksgiving weekend. There was barely anybody in the arena because it's all for television. So I don't know. I think this tournament in Vegas is a boon for the teams that are in it.
Supposedly.
Financially, there's money on the table. They got to pay their guys. I mean, this is an opportunity for the Aztecs to also be seen in a similar light with these Power 5 conferences. So,
yeah, but when you lose by 40 on national TV,
well, it's Michigan. Some of it, people were saying Michigan are like the Dodgers of NCAA basketball because they have so much money.
And they beat the other one. They beat Gonzaga by 40.
Exactly. And they get all the big recruits. They got that 7+ footer guy from UCLA. They're loaded. I mean, they're playing on a whole other level. So, I mean, you would have been nice to win 2 out of 3, but you got to put on your big boy pants and get better. And they still have to play Arizona, and that's going to be a rough one.
I concur. So you're a basketball fan, Aztec fan. A little too much too early on the schedule. They look good to me in spurts, and the young kids look like they can play. And we haven't seen what Guath is going to be because I think he's behind a physical power curve.
Where's the defense, Lee?
Well, it kind of fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot more working with these kids. You got to school them up, coach them up.
I agree. We go from hoops. Let's go on the pitch.
Okay, let's go out here to the high-speed sports wire. Again, another rough game for San Diego sports fans.
Great season, ended kind of badly. I don't view the end as being a negative. They got beat by a pretty good Vancouver Whitecaps team. I'm talking about SDFC, San Diego Football Club, MLS expansion team. They lost to Vancouver 3-1 on Saturday. They were never in the game. But that's an experienced team that came in and defensed them right out of the game. They played so well, Vancouver did, at midfield. They were so physical. They disrupted the flow. They disrupted the dominance. SDFC during the course of the regular season had the ball like 74% possession time. In this playoff game, they only possessed it 54%. They never controlled the rhythm and flow of the game because Vancouver did a great job marking them, which means checking them, which means knocking them down at midfield. They made Anders Dreyer almost totally disappeared. Brian White, who had 16 goals during the season, scored 2 in the game. 1 goal was an own goal that our own goalkeeper, the backup goalkeeper, was responsible for. Goalie took a red card late in the game, which meant SDFC played shorthanded for like the final 20 minutes of the game. The young fullbacks, and they're very young in front of that goalkeeper, 19 and 20-year-olds, kind of got overwhelmed by the physicality and the experience Vancouver had. And Thomas Muller, the former German World Cup star, he showed up on the field at midfield. He just kind of took over everything. He kind of controlled everything. And like I said, Dreyer, he just had no room to operate, and they were body banging him all the time. Well, but what a great first season. My goodness. What a job done by the coach, Mikey Veras. What a job done by the director, a.k.a. general manager, Tyler Heaps. They took something from a clean piece of paper, and they made it a playoff team in their first year. And they did it internationally and globally. I call it a United Nations roster. They brought them from everywhere, and Mikey made it work. What a job Tyler Heaps did, spending money, working the deals. Bringing Dreyer from Denmark, getting Lozano out of Mexico via Holland. Obviously, the goaltender that they traded for, who had been on the East Coast on the MLS as a backup. They did just a spectacular job. Tyler Heaps is not a public figure, but behind the scenes, fabulous job. Now, they got a problem. They got a decision to make what they're going to do with Lozano because he's out of contract. And they might sell him, they might loan him, they might keep him, but they have to solve the problem between that player and that coach because it was really nasty at the end of the season when he got suspended. So Lozano has to change his ways, but the guy can play at this level and play really well, and Dreyer's still under contract, so That's a real positive. So, and the fans, they partied. They had a great time. What a spectacular venue it's become. San Diego used to be known as America's finest city. It is now known as Soccer City.
Hey.
So thumbs up to all things SDFC. If you're a soccer fan, feel free to join us in the Fans Forum chat box. Last topic on the table, the Grand Prix of Qatar. There's only 2 races left in the Formula One season, and here is Max Verstappen. He's in your rearview mirror, and he's going to be right next to you going into the corner. Verstappen screams to his 7th win of the season, his 5th win in a row in the Grand Prix of Qatar. Team McLaren screwed up their team. They've had so many internal problems with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. They screwed up pit stop strategy. There was a caution on the 7th lap, and everybody came in to pit, and they left their drivers out, which meant their drivers then were out of sync with everybody else, and their tires would wear out sooner than everybody else who had pitted, and it eventually cost them the lead. They fell out of sequence. Verstappen had the best tires to run the final 24 laps. Verstappen is now just 12 points behind Lando Norris in the point championship. Mr. Cutthroat, they call him. And what's that worth? $8 million. You win a points championship for your $8 million. So you think Verstappen is going to rub tires with Norris in the final race of the season? It can't wait. But, I mean, what a comeback by Verstappen, because he looked dead in the water at midseason. They weren't competing. He had internal problems. What a comeback. And all the problems now are in the pit stall of that Team McLaren team. I mean, they really screwed this thing up. It's amazing. I don't know how many F1 fans are out there. We're trying to cultivate everybody for all these different sports. You're a Formula One fan, feel free to join us.
The high-speed sports wire, man.
Okay, so what do you think about SDFC? Soccer City.
Soccer City. Okay, so I get you. You know, it was a great season, exceeded expectations. There's been a love affair with soccer in San Diego, but come on, I mean, that was a winnable game. You know, they scored the goal early on. It was down 1-0, and then that own goal was weird. It was like the defender blocked it. It ricocheted off his body, then hit the back of the keeper, and then bounced back in like a pinball. You know, and so that was unfortunate. But you blink an eye, I think after like 8 or 10 minutes, it was already 2-0.
Yeah, you can't dig out of that hole. Then it became 3-0.
Yeah. So it was just a tough night at the office for SDFC. But we still don't really know what happened with Mikey Veras and Chucky Lozano, do we? I mean, I've heard just sort of
there was a bad tantrum in the locker room because he'd been removed at halftime of a game. And again, he's had injury issues and he hasn't played. There've been spurts in which I don't think he's played very well. And he got suspended for 2 games, and then he never started a game after that. After that mess in Houston, he came off the bench as a replacement, which is kind of a slap in the face and a disgrace for a star of his stature coming out of Mexico. World Cup experience and all that. But at the end of the day, there was a message sent that Mikey Veras, the coach, is going to control this thing. It's not going to be a player-driven thing.
Well, like, look who scored the only goal. It was him. It was Chucky. Or Chucky, I should say. So anyways, that was a bummer. I mean, for San Diego sports fans, I mean, it was like the one piece of hope we had. Yeah. I mean, we can't do it in baseball or San Diego State football, basketball. This was the chance.
They were so young on the back end. Their fullbacks are teenagers, 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah, that Bombino kid is young.
Yeah, they're all young. And that became a bit of a problem. And Vancouver's got a lot of experience. You know, they got Berhalter's son.
Oh, yeah.
Plays on the back end for them. And they got Thomas Muller at age 35 from Germany. That's a world of experience he carries in a suitcase when he gets off the plane. He changed everything at midfield.
Well, Messi's probably going to slice him up in the final, right?
Oh, that's great final. My God. Vancouver versus Inter Miami. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it came so close. It was a disappointing end. And they're out of it real early. And that's a big hill to run up when you're down 2-0 or 3-0 and try to come. You can't come back from that.
Yeah, that's a tough call.
So, but salute to them. Just send my mail, hacksaw in care of Soccer City. Fans Forum chat box is open for business right now. This podcast is brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You got projects, you need ideas for Christmas, go to Dixieline.com to see all the things that they have to offer. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Are they ready?
They're ready. All right. Hey, I want to give a shout out to our good friend here, Music to My Ears. Thank you very much. He says, Mike Schilt getting a job 1 month after, quote, retirement is a middle finger to the Padres organization and fans. Don't we deserve a real explanation? I bet it was Machado's immaturity, or he was making half the salary of his coaches.
Well, I don't know. It was that. I firmly believe it was burnout, but I don't understand the internal treatment of all the subordinates. And this exact same thing happened in St. Louis, because that story leaked out after Schilt resigned in San Diego. You know, you're hiring these coaches to be on your staff and you're trusting with them. And why are you so tough and cruel and angry at them all the time? And that's the substance that came out of the Padre clubhouse, is that support staff just was at odds with Mike Schilt on everything that they tried to do to help him. And that's the exact same thing that suddenly came out of St. Louis is one of the reasons he suddenly disappeared despite 3 years of success. So good luck to him. He had a good run. We have to credit him for, I think his record was 181 and 143. Let's credit Schilt for the success in the dugout. I just don't understand the mental makeup of not working for people that you hired to want to bring your team.
Yeah, this whole story was weird, you know? And he says, I just want to go home, man.
You want to sit on the beach chair.
Yeah, but he's clearly not going to do that.
Well, the hurricane coming to North Carolina, so probably I don't know.
But it was just dumb, the whole thing. I mean, it's just the Padres have so much drama, you know, and it doesn't matter how hard the ownership or Preller tries, nothing ever seems to work.
It's always something that goes off track.
Exactly. So moving on. All right, let's go up here near the top of the list. So we have another a donor that dropped in on us. And let's get him involved. Here's go to Matt. He goes, Baggerly reported the Giants won't spend money on Imai. San Francisco ownership apparently wants to spend on real estate. If true, I'd be furious if I were a Giants fan.
Well, I don't know. I keep hearing Imai is going to meet with San Francisco, and we'll just have to see. I think he kind of wants to pitch on the West Coast. I'm not sure, because they've been talking conversation to Yankees and Mets, but he wants to go on the West Coast, I think, because it's much easier to get the Pacific Rim endorsements being a West Coast guy than being over there, which is a long way away from Japan. But he's got, he's coming. I think he's going to be here on December 3rd, which is Wednesday. I think at that point in time, he's going to start actually making his face-to-face visits, and we'll see what Buster Posey does in San Francisco. It's a really intriguing story.
They want to spend on real estate. Are they talking about building like condos and business offices?
Either that or expanding their footprint around that stadium and building more business entities that attune to the baseball fan.
Now, if I remember correctly, the stadium was privately financed, but the land was provided by the city of San Francisco. And I use land in quotes because it's on, I think, what do they call that? Landfill. Right out there on by those piers. So I don't know. The Giants seem to be in a position that they're usually one of the bigger spending teams. They used to sell out all the time. I don't know why they're not all in on these big name free agents.
Well, they've lost their luster a little bit.
And
they, at one point in time, 5 years ago in the Barry Bonds era, go-to place. It hadn't been that way lately. So we'll see what the next week brings. Again, baseball winter meetings start on Friday and go into next week. So there's going to be a lot of baseball to talk about. Hey, good to hear from you, Matt. Thank you.
All right, let's go here to our friend Casey, talk some USC Trojans. Hey, good afternoon, guys, and hope you both had a great Thanksgiving holiday. Hacksaw, since it looks like Lincoln Riley will be back next year, and if he don't get to the college playoff next year, does he go on the hot seat?
Sure. SC is not viewed in the same light it used to be. That coach is definitely not viewed. Maybe it's because he's not one of us. Maybe he's an outsider. He came from there, there in the Big 12, not here. Not a guy with Pac-10 heritage, not a Trojan per se. 9-3, that's a pretty good season, but you didn't get to the playoffs. So how good a season really is it? Isn't that a strange thing to say? It's like what we're dealing with here. 9-3 doesn't feel real good for San Diego State. I'll tell you, guarantee, I think 9-3 at USC that way doesn't feel very good for them.
Yeah. USC took a big step up in terms of competition.
Yeah.
I mean, going to the Big Ten, I don't think anyone expected them to kind of roll in and immediately be competitive with Ohio State.
And haven't run on the road in the Big Ten yet.
They haven't?
No.
So all 3 of their losses were on the road in the Big Ten?
No. But in terms of big games over the last 2 years,
okay.
No.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, SC, I remember Lincoln Riley, when he went to Oklahoma, I remember he was the highest paid public employee in the state of Oklahoma, had this mansion right next to the state, to the University of Oklahoma. And then as part of his deal to come to SC, they bought him a house, here in Southern California, which that's millions of dollars right there. So he's cashing in just like these players are cashing in, moving around, Lee. But I think he might be near the end. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's got one more year. If they're not playoff bound next year, Case, I think you're very much correct. He's really on the hot seat.
All right, let's go to Callan. He goes, afternoon, gents. Bummed that it's over, but damn, what a fun ride that SDFC took us on. Can't wait for 2026. Also, when is the Insiders Group Christmas party? I want to do shots with you, damn it.
Yeah, John, when is a Christmas party up here at the castle? That would shortly be followed by your wife putting your ass on waivers.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to work too well here. We should cram everybody into the podcast studio.
Callum, unbelievable season. Tough decisions to be made. Tough decision as to what they're going to do with Chucky and where do they go next. But they stockpiled so many young players, played so many young players, especially on the back end. If you look at the roster and the age limits of those kids, for them to be this deep into the playoffs, that's quite an accomplishment.
That was a hell of a year.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody expected this at all. I mean, they were just talking about how it was such a Cinderella story the whole time. So I don't know. We all knew that San Diego was going to support an MLS team as soon as they got one. And they
never thought they'd be this good.
No one did. But it's been a feel-good story. The stadium, they fill up that stadium for San Diego FC. Our Aztec friends need to do the same damn thing.
Aztec football. You're going to play in my Soccer City Stadium now.
All right, let's talk in Aztec football. Let's go to Edgar. He says, STSU was robbed.
I don't think they got robbed. I mean, they got beat. They got out-schemed. I mean, what New Mexico did offensively by formation really screwed up San Diego State's defense. I thought New Mexico was as tough in the front, offensively and defensively, as San Diego State was. You couldn't say that all season long. Eventually, I just thought they got out tough. But the quarterback breakdowns really bother me. For Denigel, who was at Michigan for 3 years and practiced against really good defenses, and then played live fire to make as many mistakes, and they fell apart. My God, what happened in overtime? I went crazy watching it. I had a whole ache in my heart at the end of that game, and I'm not an Aztec alum. I just felt really, really bad, and that does not feel like 9-3 football to me, sadly.
It does. It was awful. I mean, look right here. Here's a comment from Mike. His quarterback play was beyond bad. With their play selection, they can run the Wildcat.
Maybe they should run the Wildcat. I think they have to go back into the portal. They have to find a transfer quarterback. With apologies to Denigel. He's doing what he can do. He's a really good athlete, but there's no consistency to his passing game whatsoever. I mean, it's like a risk versus reward thing. And it's more risk when he's at quarterback trying to throw the football than there's a reward with him as your quarterback.
Yeah, we saw moments when he was pretty good, and he made some deep passes, and you're like, hey, here we go. This is like Aztec offense, Aztec fast. But then he's had moments where he looked a little bit, I should say, not confident, like a little hesitant, kind of waiting an extra beat.
Erratic.
Yeah, and then he kind of, runs out of gas there. But, New Mexico had all those trick plays up their sleeve, and the Aztecs fumbled and bumbled, their way through overtime. It was just crushing.
I mean, the push-tush fake handoff that became a 54-yard reverse run for a touchdown. I've never seen that.
That's like something you see in Pop Warner football, just something wacky.
Don't call Jason Eck, Pop Warner coach.
Oh, he's having a hell of a year.
9-3. New Mexico football, 9-3. And they beat them on the fake tush push. And then they won the game on a tight end flanker screen. Tight end is just standing out there. Play fake, everything goes right. Flare pass tight end, and he goes right down the sideline and scores. Big lumbering tight end.
Well, that's Aztecs defense. Where the hell were they?
They got suckered on the play fake.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, New Mexico had 3 plays offensively the entire game, and they won it.
See, this feels like the San Diego FC thing. It's like, it's so crushing, when they lost that and then they got screwed over. I mean, they were robbed. They were screwed over by this computer metric thing. And, it's like San Diego FC. We had a great season. There's some feel good there, but you just, at the very end, it just didn't work. The Aztecs had this thing in the palm of their hand.
Well, they controlled their destiny.
They did. And you can't lose on the road in New Mexico. I don't care about Eck. And I mean, New Mexico has been a disgrace in football since, you have to go back to Brian Urlacher, and they were any good. I mean, so
it's just crushing to me. So we'll see. I mean, they'll go to a second-tier bowl game, okay? And they've been to Boise, and they've been to the Arizona Bowl, and they've been
Idaho
to
Potato Bowl.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the more entertaining of the 3. I'd go up there because it helps you in recruiting.
Well, I'll take 9-3 over 3-9 any day. So a trajectory pointing up. Hopefully next season they're going to be 10-2 or 11-1, and they're going to be leading the charge in the new Pac-12.
But the whole defense is graduating.
So he's got to coach them up, man. We got to reload.
Am I the only friend of the Aztecs that feels crummy about the end of this thing? Hey, thanks for joining us. Good to have you on board, Mike.
Okay, let's go here to John. Talk about this Lane Kiffin thing. Feeling sad for the kids at Ole Miss and Kiffin leaving them for the next gig. But that was Kiffin being Kiffin. How long will he last at Baton Rouge? And thanks again for streaming the East from the Florida Keys to the D.C. Beltway up to Nova Scotia. Is that easier than saying Newfoundland, John?
Unbelievable. John's a San Diegan, served out here in the military, and he and I became friends, and he's moved back to the District of Columbia, and he's a massive sports fan there. But, hey, people follow Hacksaw all over the country. But at the end of the day, as successful as Kiffin has been, as I think he's pretty slick in terms of X's and O's, he's also, I think, pretty slimy. So we'll see what happens. He goes to LSU. The pressure points would be a lot harder on him there. But he did a really great job at Ole Miss. That's a program that's been down for a long, long time.
Now, is Ole Miss in the SEC championship? Or
No, they did not make it.
And they're not going to be in the playoff then, right?
Well, no, they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah. So this was the thing, is I think Kiffin wanted to stick around and coach him in the playoffs.
Yeah, he demanded, I was told by a beat writer that I network with out of the SEC, that Kiffin met for 3 hours with the chancellor and the AD, and they had dialogue. And Kiffin informed them, I'm going to accept this opportunity. But he said, I'd really like to coach my team in the playoffs, or if we got to the SEC championship. Later that night, they did not earn that chance. And the chancellor said, no, if you're leaving, we're going to hire a new coach immediately. You're no longer our guy. We're not going to let you wear Ole Miss gear. The whole world knows you're going to LSU, and you're not going to advertise what you're going to be like at LSU while wearing Ole Miss gear. So I was told the meeting ended badly, and he exited, and he went right to the airport. He got booed outside the chancellor's house. He got booed at the airport. I don't know if he ever said goodbye to his players. He did not take part in that team meeting. There had been a meeting that wound up getting postponed. And then the new head coach, who'd been promoted from defensive coordinator, held a team meeting, and the players came out and said, new era. Hopefully he's going to be able to keep the quarterback and keep the running back, because the chancellor did not want Kiffin poaching kids from Ole Miss.
Oh, he's going to be poaching. Does this remind you of the Bo Schembechler thing with Michigan? You know, when Steve Fisher got anointed back in the day? Because didn't the former coach there go to Arizona State or something?
Yeah, Bill Frieder.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, we need a Michigan man at Michigan. And they said, you're not coaching in the tournament.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting storyline. I can see why Kiffin wanted to coach his guys, but I can also, more importantly, see why Ole Miss would say hell no. But this just proves that the calendar is screwed up. I mean, Kiffin shouldn't have to announce that he's switching teams until after the playoffs and the bowl games are done.
Signing date is Wednesday this week.
See, again, that's screwed up, man. I mean, you know, you got players that are going to be, I mean, you say signing day for players,
for
right?
Recruits coming in the front door,
okay,
not transfer portal.
Okay.
That's in January.
Okay, but still, the whole calendar thing, I know you've been talking about in your best 15. They got to fix that, because it creates these perverse incentives that kind of screw things up for the fans. Because I think as college football fans, we'd love to see Ole Miss go deep. They haven't had a chance in so long, and now they finally do.
Well, I'm really interested to see this quarterback, Trinity Chambliss. He's put up on monster numbers, and his running back, Keon Lacey, he's had huge games running the football, and that's in the SEC. That's real football.
Real football.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Hey, thanks for joining us, John.
Okay, let's go here to Godzilla. He goes, Hacksaw, who is UCLA going to hire?
I believe it's going to be Bob Chesley from James Madison. That guy's a really good coach. They throw the football. He's got quite a track record of success. But how do you sell that? We're UCLA, Terry Donahue, and some of the really great coaches we've had at UCLA in football. And we're hiring a guy from James Madison? You're kidding me.
Well, who are you going to get? You're not hiring Lane Kiffin.
No, that's for certain.
So I think UCLA is just in a different place now, and so you're happy that the successful coach at a mid-major gets an opportunity on the big stage. But, UCLA, we know them. I mean, from an academic, from a research perspective, they are class one.
Oh, upper echelon.
Yeah, uber echelon. And so you want their sports programs to reflect how good they are in all other dimensions of that university. So, hopefully the James Madison guy could do it. But, I mean, who are the other hot coaching candidates?
It was really quiet. I didn't hear a lot about guys. And, of course, they're going through such calamity up there with the whole, aftermath of Chip Kelly, the deficit, the Rose Bowl lease, now the lawsuit, and by the way, bad freaking football and Deshaun Foster. I mean, everything swirling around that program has been so negative since September. And here we are almost, to the new year, and it hasn't improved. And so they got a lot of work to do. But this guy does have a really good reputation.
Have there ever been eras in UCLA football history when they've been better than USC for more than just a year or two?
Not consistently, no. But there were years in which they overachieved, and they were really good. I mean, Terry Donahue, I think, goes down in history as somebody really special. Was there for a long time and did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Toledo had some really good years, but they couldn't continue the tradition. Neuheisel's hire, as good a guy as Rick is, it wasn't greatly successful. Giamara had some success, but then it got away from him and they let him go. So, I mean, they've been on a bit of a roller coaster here for a long time. And there's so much negativity about this school right now.
Yeah, and the Rose Bowl, SoFi Stadium, all of it. All right, here's a kind of an interesting one. This is from Philip. He goes, not sports related, because I have relatives that live on Long Island. My father went to Port Jefferson. They live on or near Bayshore. Where on the island did you live, Lee?
I lived in Northport, up on the North Shore. You're talking about stuff on the South Shore. As a kid, I spent a lot of time down there near you. As a kid, I spent a lot of time at Islip Speedway, which is a great NASCAR track. I grew up as a kid that loved auto racing. But so I know all about the South Shore, Long Island, the North Shore, Long Island. Didn't spend any time out on the Hamptons where the rich people are. And maybe when this podcast becomes a success, John and I will do it from the Hamptons one time. But so that's cool that you bring all that stuff up. I still have friends. I don't have any family back on the island now. I'd love to go back and visit it. Have not done that in a long time. But that's where I grew up. That's who I was.
Now, AJ Preller is from Long Island too, right?
He's from South Huntington, right next door to where I grew up in Northport.
Interesting.
I give him so much crap about being. He went to Walt Whitman High School. I went to Northport High School.
Oh, those guys rivals?
Oh, you think?
You think?
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld, I think, is from Long Island too. Do you know where he was from?
No. But it was a great place. I regret now. I grew up on the ocean, and I regret not appreciating living on the ocean. I wish I could live on the ocean here, but I'm not making 1.1 million per year, so I could buy a house there.
No, you're going to need more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's go here to Chris.
Phil, good to have you on board.
A huge relief to see you guys doing the show today. Was seriously worried about Saw's well-being after that Aztecs SDFC double whammy kick to the stick over the weekend. The 3 road ambushes really cooked San Diego State, damn it.
Yeah, boy, what a bad emotional weekend I had rooting for teams that I cover and kind of want to see do well. It was funny. I don't get emotionally attached, but I just ached after that Aztec New Mexico football game. And maybe it's because I've come to like Sean Lewis a lot and think his parameters and his program and his blueprint works. I just really, and Aztec basketball, obviously overwhelmed. Look who they were playing. But that's a work in progress, and they'll get this thing figured out by the time we get to the actual Mountain West opener and we get into the conference. And SDFC, what a spectacular season. But that's a reality. You're an expansion team, and you're playing a team of real veterans. I mean, Brian White and Thomas Muller are really good players at this level. And Muller is a World Cup champion from Germany, my God. So what a great run the soccer team had. So on we go.
Just think about what happened this week for San Diego sports. So first of all, Aztecs lose to Michigan by 40. They lose to Baylor in a game that they probably should have won. Then you have Mike Schilt, getting hired by the Orioles, and then you have the whole Dylan Cease thing with him signing for huge money with the Blue Jays. Then the Aztecs lose to Lobos, and then the Aztecs lose to the computer, for not getting into the championship game.
And Justin Herbert gets hurt.
Well, he's not really San Diego anymore, but the Chargers get, their quarterback gets hurt. So it's been a rough week. At least we had some good food this weekend.
What a funk. I've been in such a funk. But we do cover sports. You need to check my website. I mean, I write so much stuff, regardless of what your interests are. You got to check it every day. Get on that email list so you'll get my newsletter. John created it. We put out a newsletter that is so dynamic. So you can get it by joining Hacksaw's Insiders Group. Just go to the homepage on my website. Just fill it out. You'll really like it. I guarantee once you start to read it, you'll look forward to opening up your email box every day.
It's funny. It's like last night you sent me the content to email out and you were like, oh, sorry, man, it's so late. I just had so much to write about over the weekend.
And John had to read it, and it took so long for him to read it.
It was like really long. But it's like your best 15, which we put in the email format. It's like reading your sports newspaper every morning like I used to as a kid. And then the One Man's Opinion column, which comes out usually at 3:15 every afternoon. That's usually kind of an entertaining column. You're always talking about something going on in NFL, but a more in-depth, more hacksaw opinion. One man's opinion.
Yep. And you're only going to get my newsletter if you just go to the website and fill out the form. It's really easy, and I think you'll really appreciate what we do because we work really hard off the air, so you can do that. But we're glad to have you on the live stream too. Chris, thank you.
Okay, let's go here to Retro. USC still a powerhouse, but with all the powerhouse schools in the Big Ten, USC is lost in the shuffle. If they stayed in the Pac-12, USC would be playing in the Pac-12 title game.
Damn right. And it's really good football in the Big Ten. And and they've yet to prove they can win on the road in the Big Ten. Same thing with UCLA. Now, Oregon's a different story. Washington's in the same boat as the Trojans, obviously. The most unique aspect of the breakup of the Pac-12, John, is the guys that have left, that have gone other places are doing well. Arizona State had a really great first season, Big 12. Now, this year's been bumpy because they lost their quarterback. Arizona's really become something in football. And obviously, they're a power in basketball. Those guys are in the Big 12. Utah has done unbelievably well in the Big 12 conference level. So it's fascinating to see how some have adjusted quickly in the Big 12, and the guys who went to the Big 10 outside of Oregon, which is a national power, everybody else is just scuffling to find their bearings in the new conference.
Well, at least Colorado has Coach Prime, so.
But they're also 3-9.
Yeah, they are. But, he's a draw. But, yeah, Oregon has been fantastic. The Huskies have had their moments. But, going Pac-12 I always thought of them was almost like not a power 5. They were like a power 4.5, right before they made the move. Mm-hmm. Now, you even remember that last year of the Pac-12, it was the year of the quarterback, and they had all those good quarterbacks up and down the West Coast. But it's still not the same as SEC or even like the ACC.
Yeah, but there's a lot of heritage and legacy in what the Pac-12 used to be, and that's all dissipated. That's all gone away.
Well, we got Mountain West 2.0 coming. The new Pac-12, the rebirth, the resurrection of the Pac-12.
If you say so.
Okay, let's go here to this is a good one. Yeah, this is from what is this? Durden Joe. He goes, Al Davis is still cursed by the NFL. Hate him.
My goodness. I'm looking for Raider fan out of jail on bail. Please join us in the Fans Forum chat box. How can you be a fan of a franchise that's collective record is 130 wins and 237 losses? That's what the Raiders have been since 2002. Put that down on paper. Tell me how that looks. My God, what an awful franchise. 130 and 237. That's their collective record. I was so excited when Pete Carroll got hired, and all of a sudden Pete Carroll looks lost. And, he's not young. It's not like I'll fix this because I got time to fix it. He's 74 going on 75. How much longer does he want to do this? So what an utter disaster. Can you imagine rooting for a team with that kind of ledger?
Yeah, I still do. I mean, because I was a Raider fan back in the 70s growing up in the Bay Area as a kid. And yeah, it's a terrible time. I mean, but they are so deep in the hole. It's not like Pete Carroll's going to flip it in 1 year.
Yep.
They've had to take steps backwards before they can take steps forward. But it does make you wonder, do you think the Raiders should have drafted Shedeur Sanders? I mean, Geno Smith isn't the answer.
It's a great debate. Geno Smith was a proven commodity because Pete Carroll fixed him up in Seattle. But he can't play behind that offensive line. Nobody can play behind that offensive line. I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't been placed on injured reserve with all the heavy hits he takes. He's been sacked going into that game 41 times and got 5 more yesterday. He's been sacked 46 times. And he keeps getting up to compete. And I feel bad for Ashton Jeanty. You look at him and say, boy, that is a stud running back. That's a power guy. And he's busting people behind the line of scrimmage because they can't block for him. That might be the worst modern day offensive line I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it seems like that's where they got to focus their draft. But
Yep.
Talk about 2 great tight ends. Isn't that kind of weird? A team with 2 great tight ends. They tossed Jacoby Meyer. They traded him away.
Well, he demanded to be traded. But at the end of the day, you've got the perimeter components. Jeanty, Geno, the 2 tight ends. But you can't protect the quarterback. So you can't do anything offensively because he's getting pounded and there's no holes for Jeanty to run through. What a disaster.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
And the one constant is Mark Davis wearing his white jumpsuits. My God.
He's usually got a hot looking woman with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I had no idea he was an NFL owner. Okay, let's go to Richard. Fans Forum. Hey, Lane is a cross of a used car salesman and a big oil executive. Is this the year that the Red Wings finally make the Stanley Cup? This has gone far too long.
All right. Well, and I agree with you that slick. Yeah, that's probably the right word to use to describe Lane Kiffin. And the Red Wings have really rebuilt this thing. Now, they were down for a long time. Detroit did so many great things under, what was their general manager's name?
Matt Millen.
No. I'm talking about the Red Wings, dummy.
Oh, the Red Wings. Okay.
Jim Devellano, fabulous player personnel guy. He was the first one that mined all the talent in Europe, and he brought all those guys there. And they had such a great run. And they've been in down cycle for a long time. It's a pretty good hockey team they have right now, but it's a long season. And it is amazing because I kind of follow this. You look at the standings, and the Maple Leafs are in last place. You got to be kidding me. Look at the standings. The Rangers, with all that firepower, I think their home ice record at Madison Square Garden is 2-8-1. Look at the standings. Edmonton is a 500 hockey team, and they've had games where they lost at home, I think 9-0 and 8-1. How is that possible? So it's a long hockey season. But yeah, the Red Wings are on their way back. They've really built that thing. So they've done a good job.
Detroit, man, big Red Wings fans there. I mean, they're a loyal bunch too, aren't they?
Oh, the Olympia. Oh, what a historic old site. It's no longer there.
Well, don't they play at Joe Louis Arena or something like that?
Yeah, I believe so. Or it might have a corporate name attached to it now. But yeah, the Olympia was really something. That again, it got its reputation in the Gordie Howe era.
Okay, let's go here. We were talking about the Raiders earlier. Derek has a comment. Raider fans must suffer from Stockholm syndrome. They love their abductor.
Oh my goodness. How could you be a fan? How could you be optimistic looking at the product on the field? I understand wearing the gear and I understand the repertoire and all the fans in the stands. How could you be a fan of the product on the field and pay those prices to support that product on the field? Mark Davis is laughing going to the bank.
Yeah, it's all about the tailgate party, Lee.
Yeah.
It's all about, having, that affinity group of all your other Raider fans where you can just, cry in your tears and your cheap beer.
Well, that or you're so stoned and numb for it, you don't worry.
Yeah,
about
I mean,
it.
that's the thing. It's misery loves company, right?
So I was the voice of the Chargers. I mean, the Raider fans were they hated me on talk show radio because I was just on them all the time. And yet we go to the games and walk through the parking lot, and they were so cool. And, Raider fans, we go to the game early. We'd go at 8:30 or 9 a.m. for a 1 o'clock game because we had a massive pregame show we had to get set up for. And we're walking through the Oakland parking lot to go to the tunnel at the Oakland Coliseum. And these Raider fans are out there tailgating at 8:30 in the morning. A guy comes running up to me, "Hacksaw, you want a shot?" And he was 3 sheets to the wind at 8:30 in the morning. That's a little early for me. I got a broadcast to do. And then the other one, it came up the stairs at the LA Coliseum when the Raiders were playing there and offered me a joint at halftime. And then, no, I got a halftime show I have to do here. This is during a spot break. He said, "Okay, man, no problem," and sauntered back. Raider fans.
Everybody wants to party with Hacksaw.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was amazing.
I like those stories.
I could write a book, but it'd take too long to tell all the
stories.
stuff.
People love stories. If you have stories to share, you should let them rip.
Take too long to write all that stuff.
All right, let's go here to Jay. San Diego sports is miserable.
Oh, what? Are we in a funk? God, the Padres are about to lose their pitching staff. Are we in a bad funk? We don't have an NFL team. I mean, my heart aches. And I like Justin Herbert. I have such respect for him as a player and a person. My heart aches watching Charger football because that team should still be here. But so that's where we are. We got to live where we are. We're in the 619-858-760 area code. This is who we are.
It was a rough week for San Diego sports fans.
Oh, John, you're damn right.
It was awful. And, I don't know. Why can't we have nice things? It's just brutal. Thank God the weather's great down here, but
sometimes.
But even Cleveland won the NBA championship, with LeBron. I mean, who else has been this cursed? Maybe Seattle, but they won the Super Bowl, you know. I mean,
and they won an NBA championship.
Yeah, that was in the late 70s.
We haven't won anything really of note.
The AFL championship in 1963.
The Keith Lincoln Chargers.
And then we had the San Diego Sockers had a nice run in the Major Indoor Soccer League.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe San Diego State might have won a volleyball championship or something.
Well, the Aztecs did get to the Final Four in the championship game against UConn. So, yeah, those are exciting moments. But, boy, we're in a funk.
It's a curse.
Oh.
It's worse than a funk. All right, here, let's talk some Mountain West here with HB 949 Sports Jeff. The Mountain West should have kept the 2 divisions. That way you have a head-to-head tiebreaker in your 16 division. Good day.
It's tough. This is a tough thing. I mean, to have 4 teams wind up with the same record and then not everybody playing everybody else, which would be a tiebreaker unto itself. I felt bad for San Diego State. I mean, this defense is nationally ranked. This team beat Cal, and Cal finished on such an upbeat note, beating some pretty good people, including SMU. And the Aztecs did punch Boise and Fresno in the mouth, but they had 3 bad losses on the road, which really worked against them. I hate to say it, but to me, the Mountain West, I thought, just chose the finalist based on a money grab because, obviously, offense sells tickets, and that's why they went with Boise. And how about Boise's backup quarterback? You hear about this, Max Cutworth, the kid that they wouldn't give the ball to throw against San Diego State a couple weeks ago because he was inexperienced? He threw for 340. In the last game of the season, he threw for 340 yards. Where did that come from?
Well, he was a walk-on, wasn't he? And I think he was the guy that was the kid that was a big Boise State fan.
Yeah.
And so he transferred there, thought he'd go out for the team, and now he's a start at 340 yards.
In this last weekend start.
Yeah, good for him.
And 2 weeks prior, they wouldn't let him throw the football against San Diego State.
Weirdest things. And by the way, doesn't this make you think of remember before they have the mythical national championship in football?
Yeah.
Because you'd have, like in this case, 4 undefeated teams or 4 11-1 teams. And that's kind of what the Mountain West devolved back into.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were going to solve all these tiebreaker things and not have to leave it up to some mysterious computer ranking, and God knows who's pushing the buttons for that.
Yeah, and what basement is some kid in the basement's coming up with the computer rankings?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so the whole thing, I mean, the Aztecs got screwed, in my opinion. Okay, let's go here. Let's talk some Dodger ball with Johnny Owen. Hey, if the Dodgers had zero interest in Imai, then why would you call it a snub? Please explain, Lee.
Well, he was asked, are you excited? Would you consider the Dodgers because Ohtani and Yamamoto and those guys are there? And he said, no. He said, I want to pave my own way. I want to beat those guys. I want to prove myself. So that to me was a snub. The Dodgers never got to first base with him. But as John, actually put all the topics there, there's no spot in the rotation for Imai.
Yeah, no way.
I mean, because they've committed. They've told Roki Sasaki, you're going to spend your winter working on your mechanics and getting pitches 3 and 4 in your repertoire up to snuff. So Sasaki's going back into that rotation. So they're 5 or 6 deep, even though Kershaw's retiring. So there was no spot for Imai, but he made the statement, I don't want to go there. I want to beat those guys. So that's where the rumor from San Francisco evolved from, and where maybe that rumor might come, although Seattle's really deep in young pitching. It's going to be fun to see actually where he goes. Price tag's not going to be cheap, though.
Imagine having so much pitching depth that you wouldn't want to be competitive getting this pitcher from Japan. The Dodgers are just loaded.
Yeah, but they have a hole in left field.
Yeah, they need that.
Yeah, and they got a hole in the bullpen, so they're going to spend their resources.
Now, do you still think the Dodgers would take Mookie off a shortstop? I mean, Dodger fans think that's like blasphemous to recommend. He's
a great player. It could solve a lot of problems. If you got Bo Bichette, then you could put Mookie in right. And then you could move Teoscar Hernandez to left where he'd do less damage. He kind of plays right field like there's landmines out there. He just,
he's
defensively, he's really erratic. But, I mean, Mookie is still spectacular. And again, that was linked to the rumor if they get Bo Bichette at shortstop. But that rumor is kind of quieted down a little bit because the Toronto guys that I exchange emails with are of the opinion that the Blue Jays are going to come back in and get Bo Bichette now that they signed Dylan Cease.
You're connected to those Canadian guys.
I got guys everywhere. I did favors for guys, and then I call back and they said, you're cashing in your favor. I said, yes, tell me. So that's how
you guys sneaking around behind the hedges, getting all your information.
Swapping info.
Now, Bo Bichette's knee is a mess, isn't it?
No, I think the offseason will solve all that.
Okay.
There's not another surgery or anything like that. He just had to rush back because he was hurt.
I think Dodger fans are saying that if they did sign Bo Bichette, they'd move him to second base. They wouldn't have him play shortstop. And people think, Mookie is like a demigod, so they don't want to touch Mookie at short.
Yeah, but the problem is if you do that, you still got a massive hole in left field. You're going to play Tommy Edman in left.
He could play anywhere.
You put a Pages in left and put Edman in center.
I could work.
But the Stephen Kwan rumor is still out there too, because they're rich enough in terms of farm system players that they could move anybody they want.
But Edman's gotten hurt a lot, and he's getting a little bit older.
He gets dinged.
Yeah.
So going to be, I'll tell you what, starting Friday, winter baseball meetings begin. Oh, it's going to be great. Okay. So we're baseball centric on this podcast too. So got to be with us Thursday for the winter stove meeting preview show.
Hot Stove League.
Yes.
All right. More Dodger talk from Showtime. Diaz to LA feels like a lock.
You're talking about the Mets Diaz, but he's asking a ton of money, just a ton. And there was an injury problem last year. His name was really hot when the free agent window opened, but it hasn't picked up any movement since. And then when the Dodgers started looking at other pieces, other places, that's why this Robert Suarez thing has kind of gotten legs. And if, they still have guys under contract. They're going to bring these guys back. Blake Trinan has got another year to go on his contract, and they're bringing all these guys back. So maybe they won't make a mega payment there. The mega payment might be left field or shortstop. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to find out what they're going to do. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they get a closer and a left fielder.
Right.
I mean, they're going to just do whatever it needs to be done, and they're probably going to make good choices.
But I don't think they're going to go crazy to get both. they trade for Stephen Kwan, then they can spend big money on the right closer. If
they're not going to get Tucker and Diaz, for example.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, now, by the way, Lee, you pissed off our good friend Aztec Mike. He's got a bone to pick.
Go ahead.
9 starters are juniors and 1 sophomore on defense. Do your homework before you trash the Aztecs.
And don't forget, the transfer portal is out there and people pay money and players leave. Great defense. My goodness. But I just think that they got such a short end of the stick from the Mountain West Conference. I'm just beside myself at how this whole thing worked out. But at the end of the day, the quarterback has been erratic and the quarterback let him down. And that to me is equally as critical as to their evaluation of what they need to add. So maybe they go back into the portal and find another quarterback. There's a report that they're going to get a commitment from a star quarterback out of Bakersfield who decommitted from New Mexico State. But who knows at this point? But there's no doubt in my mind that quarterback, that coach knows talent and has access to talent. I think Sean's going to do a good job. I don't know. I'd have to ask Aztec Mike, you heartbroken? Does this not feel like a 9-3 successful season? I mean, most people would be of the opinion 9-3 is successful, but I feel really crummy about this.
See, Aztec Mike is as much of an Aztec fan as Raider fan is a Raider fan. I mean, he is loyal to the core.
Well, be realistic about your program, though.
Well, yeah, but that's what he accuses you of not being realistic. He says, you can still get cheap prices to get in a Snapdragon. Hey, this team is really good. They always think that you're downplaying the Aztecs, that you're a negative Nancy on the Aztecs.
We've covered the Aztecs. I've covered them more intensely than anybody outside of the UT. I'm at this press conference. I ask all the legitimate questions at Sean Lewis's press conference, and I think he respects that. And it's not that I have an agenda. I'm just asking for his opinions and his philosophy, et cetera. So I feel so let down. This 9-3 doesn't feel like 9-3, and it should be a feel-good 9-3.
Well, it kind of is. It's like SDFC, it could have been better. By the way, Chris Johnson's going to the NFL, right? Are there any other players on the team that could be drafted?
Maybe 1 or 2 other linemen, upperclassmen, offensive linemen. Unless some guys leave as underclassmen, I don't think there's really anybody else there that's ready. Napier had really a down cycle season. He had such a good start to the season, and it kind of disappeared in the offense, and then he had the injury, and it's going to lead to surgery. But so he'll probably be back. I don't know. Aztec Mike has to answer the question: how come the community doesn't support the team? Instead of bashing the host that talks about him all the time and covers the press conferences and is there on press row, Aztec Mike, explanation. How come the alums, the Aztecs for life, don't support the team? I mean, they papered the house for that final home game, and what they have, 15,000 showed up in a 32,000 stadium after papering the house, after cutting prices and giving away freebies. Aztec Mike, how come your Aztecs for life don't support the team? You need to give me a response. Okay, let's move on here.
Move on. We're getting near the 2-hour mark.
Oh, yeah, one more.
We'll sneak in one more. Here we go down the list. And what does it say here? Hacksaw. This is from Surf City Bill. Hacksaw, no question, you've been imbibing too much if you think the Mountain West chose Boise State for the championship as a money play.
Well, Boise State's got unbelievable national recognition. You say Boise State, people, college football junkies got to watch that. And Vegas obviously has done a good job rebuilding, do throw the football around all over the place. So did they get 2 marquee teams based on offense? Yes. They really should have considered San Diego State. But unfortunately, the Aztecs are not a sexy name nationally. And that's the problem. Anything Boise, anything Vegas, it's like neon lights. One man's opinion. Hey, listen, we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Check my website, register there to get my insider newsletter. We'll be back here on Thursday at 1:30 with a preview of the winter baseball meetings. John, going to be fun.
Going to be fun. It's good to be back. We had a day off on Thanksgiving.
What's your fault?
Well, we deserved a day off. You were relentless. You keep bringing the sports content.
Check my website for what I wrote today. You won't believe the volume of information. Podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. 9 locations to serve you. Go to dixieline.com to see all the things they can offer to you. See you come Thursday on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.